Okay, guys, we are back. Welcome back to class. This is the sixth day of class, and class is not a surprise. I don't. I could come in here with a different assignment for you every day, and I could bother you, and I could make you do totally different things every day. But you know what you're getting into when you're in this class. It looks the same. We're going to keep going through the Play-Doh and keep kind of exploring this thing and seeing what's in there and seeing if there's anything in there that we should have and practice. Just practice those moves, and that's it. That's the whole semester. Um, so it's and on the one hand it's a lot because I'm asking you to read a 20,000 word book of ancient Greek philosophy. That's a crazy thing for a professor to ask a student to do. Um, because the other teachers claim that you guys can't read and they won't read long things and they won't read old things and they need things that are new and relevant and short and I just don't think so. I think you guys can totally handle Plato. Um, I think Plato's very famous. And here's the thing about Plato. Plato is a key force that built the world that you currently live in. One of the reasons why I teach things that are very, very old is because they are it's why the world looks the way it does. Plato's ideas in this book will get picked up by Christianity. A lot of the reason Christianity looks the way it does in modern day America is because of ideas Plato came up with in ancient Greece. Because, of course, obviously Christians base their stuff off the Bible, but a lot of the ways of thinking about the Bible came out of Plato. So he's a pretty central thinker, and it's one of the reasons why I think he's worth spending a lot of time with. So, yeah, let's do some Play-Doh. Before we do that, I think it might be fun to give you guys a philosophical thing you can do, a very simple piece of philosophy. I'm going to give you guys a goofy assignment right now, just something really silly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it on the video, but it's something that you can do in your discussion boards. And I think it'll be something fun and easy and silly to write about in the discussion board. So I'm going to start this video out today by asking you a philosophical question. And I'm going to ask you in the discussion boards to discuss it. And what does that mean? That means I'm going to say something. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to tell me what you think about the question. You're going to give me your answer to the question, and you're going to give me reason. You got to have a reason. You can't. So you're going to have an instinct. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to have an instinct to say, "This is the answer." But that's not it. You got to say, "This is the answer because." You got to have a reason. I say, "This is my answer, and here is the reason why I have my answer." Don't forget, the other two things you're going to do is you can give me examples. So you're going to say, "This is my reason, here's my example." And you can discuss that. Explain your example. Elaborate your reason. And of course, if you feel like getting fancy or complicated, don't forget that you are perfectly allowed to say, here's my answer. Here's one reason I believe this. Here's a second reason I believe this. And then you could have one example. Or you could say, here's my answer. Here's one reason I believe this. Here's an example to explain why I believe this. Here's a second reason why I believe this. Here's an example for why I believe this. So, are you ready for a very massive philosophical question that you can discuss in the discussion board? And let me say this also. This is a question that's going to upset your classmates. You're going to hear this question and you're going to think the answer to it is obvious. And I'm here to tell you the answer is not obvious because your classmates are going to massively disagree with you about this stuff. So, and if one thing you can do on the discussion board is you can sort of talk to each other and respond to each other. So don't be afraid if somebody says something, you can say, I think you're wrong because, right? Because the answer to this question is going to seem really obvious to you. And then you're going to need to kind of think more about it because when you realize other people have other opinions. And this is a slightly more advanced thing, which is called considering objections, which means listening to what other people have to say. Well, actually, you've already done this. I asked you to listen to Plato and then give me your opinion, but in the discussion board, you may be listening to your classmates and then giving your opinion in response to what they have said. So you're welcome to just handle this philosophy question on your own and tell me what you believe and why you believe it. But if you see that a classmate's written something and you disagree with it, feel free to go on there and say, here's why you're wrong. No one's going to be mean to you, or if anyone is mean to you, I will stop them because no one's allowed to be mean to you. So, are you prepared now for your philosophical question, which you can discuss in the discussion board? All right, here it is. Are you ready? The question for the discussion board is a hamburger a sandwich? The answer seems obvious, but the problem is that someone next to you is going to have also an obvious answer that's not going to be the same as yours. Is a hamburger a sandwich? So how about in the discussion board, you tell me what you think the answer to that question is, why you think that's the answer to the question, and you could give me some examples to support your opinion. So your philosophical question is a hamburger a sandwich? And don't forget, as always, you got your handout. I am never going to ask you to memorize this handout. This is the How to Write Essays handout. It's got what you read and your opinion. So in this case, what you read would be the other students' responses. So you can, at this point now, since I've asked you the question, is a hamburger a sandwich, you can just tell me your opinion on it. But again, if you don't need to memorize this, but you can tell me what you think. You can provide a reason. You can give me an example. And you can use this to think about what other people said. So just a very simple philosophy question that you can debate and discuss on the discussion board. They'll give you some practice with the center moves of this game. And it'll also give you some practice on a topic that I think is actually kind of fun and sort of silly. And I think that's a fun question to do. So I'm going to give you some more of these questions as we go, and hopefully maybe over the next couple of days I'll give you a question a day or something. But I only got a couple of these, but I think it's worth thinking about. But test it out. It'll give you something simple to write about. You can get some of those comments. You need to participate. Your comments on the discussion board or your participation, so you're going to need to do that. And that's your question. Is a hamburger a sandwich? Okay, cool. And now that you've got that, let's get back to Plato. Okay, so where we left off in Plato was, again, we're still in the middle of Lysias's speech. Phaedrus and Socrates have left the city and are discussing things. And Phaedrus has a speech in his pocket by a guy named Lysias. And Lysias is a speechwriter. And this speech is crazy. In the speech, Lysias says, "You're better off marrying a friend of yours." And I'm paraphrasing, I'm putting this in my own words. He says, "It is better to be with a non-lover than with a lover." And the way I'm kind of paraphrasing this is to say it's better to marry a friend than someone who's in love with you. So let's just jump back in there and keep going. Well, and while you're probably busy thinking about whether or not a hamburger is a sandwich, but you can write down some notes now or pause the video and go do that right now and come back. But just wanted to give you that to think about. All right, let's take a look at this thing. So he's given some reasons already, and just to kind of let's just do a quick review of what the hell Lysias has been saying. So on the bottom of page 2, he talks about how people who are in love will do a lot of things, but love changes. And when their love changes, they will regret all of the nice things that they did. Also, people in love will neglect their own concerns, right? Meaning they won't be dealing with their own life, they're only dealing with yours. And then again, when love changes, they're going to have regret that they did that. But the non-lover has no such tormenting recollections, meaning bad tormenting is painful, recollections is memory. Again, you got to look some of these words up. The non-lover has no such tormenting recollections. He has never neglected his affairs or quarreled with his relations. Relations there meaning family. He has no troubles to add up or to invent. Okay, another reason why he says it's better to be with someone who doesn't love you is love is thought to be greater because people will do anything for the power of love. And then he says, but it is only a proof that he will prefer any future love to his present and will injure his old love at the pleasure of the new. Right, and again, to put this in our own words, to paraphrase, he says, someone who's going to break with their family because the power of love forced them to be with you, the same thing is going to force them to break with you when they find someone new. So that's not trustworthy. And then another reason he says is that there are more non-lovers to choose from. You have more friends. People that are madly in love with you are few and far between, but you have tons of friends. So if you select the person to marry from your friends, you're going to have more options, says Lysias. So again, not asking you to agree with this, just giving you something to think about. But for now, turn that over in your mind, and I'll pick you up in the next video.